You begin by feeling the stillness, the kind that settles over the world at night when the wind slows, when even thought becomes a whisper. You are lying down, the weight of your body gently pressing against the ground, against the earth itself. It feels unmoving, solid, eternal. But that is only a quiet illusion. Beneath your resting form, the planet is alive. Its skin, the crust you call home, is a patchwork of vast drifting plates, enormous rafts of rock floating upon a slow-moving ocean of molten stone. They slide, collide, and drift apart in rhythms older than the mountains, older than life. If you could listen deeply enough, past the hum of your own heartbeat, you might hear it, the earth's low, patient breathing. You imagine that breath now, a slow expansion, a quiet contraction, a planet inhaling through the heat of its core, exhaling through volcanic sighs and gentle tremors. Every continent, every ocean floor moves with that invisible rhythm. It is the slowest dance you can imagine, a choreography measured not in seconds, but in millennia. You might picture the Earth's surface like a vast sheet of cracked porcelain, floating atop glowing honey. Each piece a plate moves, ever so slightly. Some push together, some pull apart, and others slide by, silently grinding their edges. At their borders, the planet reshapes itself. New land rises. Old land sinks. Oceans are born. Mountains are crushed to dust. It is constant motion disguised as stillness. The continents you know, Africa, Asia, the Americas, are not fixed places. They are travelers, each carrying forests, rivers, and cities across a planet in motion. Their pace is gentle, about as fast as your fingernails grow, yet unstoppable. Over millions of years, they have wandered across the globe, colliding and parting like long-lost friends, meeting again in another age. Once, they were one, a single landmass called Pangaea, drifting in an endless ocean. Now, they drift apart, still yearning toward balance. Beneath this drifting surface, the mantle flows, not like water, not like air, but something in between. It is solid rock that moves so slowly it behaves like liquid over time. Convection currents rise and fall, carrying heat from the molten core to the crust. These invisible rivers of heat are what drive the plates, giving motion to mountains and meaning to silence. Imagine the mantle as a deep ocean of glowing amber light, swirling under the crust's thin, fragile shell. The crust itself, the ground you trust beneath your feet, is thinner than you might think. Under the oceans, it's only a few kilometers thick, delicate as an eggshell. Under mountains, it thickens slightly, a patch of armor over a restless heart, and through this delicate surface, the earth's fire breathes. You picture yourself lying somewhere remote, maybe a forest clearing, maybe a quiet plain where the stars are sharp and endless. Beneath you, deep below, magma stirs, not violently, not dangerously, but like a thought slowly forming in the mind of the planet. You can almost feel it now, a faint warmth rising through the rock, through the soil, into your spine. A reminder that the earth is never truly asleep. It is patient. It dreams it waits in silence, reshaping itself 1 inch at a time. Every mountain you have ever seen, every valley, every island, every ocean trench, all of them are temporary gestures in this slow, ongoing dance. The planet exhales through volcanoes, whispers through earthquakes, and hums through magnetic fields. Even the air around you, the very oxygen you breathe, was once shaped by this inner motion. Volcanoes long ago released gases that formed the first atmosphere, seeding the sky for life. What once was poison became the breath of forests, of oceans, of you. Every inhale you take is a continuation of that gift, a small exchange with the memory of magma. And yet, on the surface, everything feels still. Cities hum, oceans shimmer, winds travel, but beneath it all lies the deep and slow certainty of movement. You begin to sense it, as if your own heartbeat is syncing with the planet's. Each pulse, a reflection of the molten rhythm far below. Each breath, an echo of the Earth's hidden motion. It is humbling, isn't it? To realize that you live on a thin raft floating above a sea of fire. And yet, that fire does not threaten you, it sustains you. It keeps the world warm, shapes its mountains, and cycles the very minerals that make up your bones. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your teeth, the gold in your jewelry, all were forged in the furnace below your feet. The earth gave you your substance, and in time will reclaim it. You can almost picture it now, a glowing map beneath your body. Each continent outlined in slow motion, drifting imperceptibly across a molten canvas. Arrows of heat rise and fall, gentle as tides, eternal as sleep. If the surface could whisper, it would tell you, I am moving, but do not be afraid. Because this movement is not chaos, it is balance. A living planet adjusting itself, forever seeking harmony. There's a strange comfort in that even as civilizations rise and fall, the earth continues its slow exhale. That long after lights fade and words are forgotten, the mantle will still flow, reshaping what lies above. It is as if the earth itself practices a kind of meditation, steady, rhythmic, eternal. You might wonder then, what stirs this inner motion? What gives a planet its restlessness? The answer lies deep in its core, where gravity and heat dance in perpetual embrace. The core spins like a second heart, generating a magnetic field that shields you from the harshness of space. That spin, that heat, that pressure, all of it feeds the mantle's flow. The plates move not because they choose to, but because they must. It is the nature of a living world to move, to change, to breathe. You realize now that the stillness you feel on the surface is a kind of illusion, a quiet layer atop endless movement. The grass under your feet, the concrete of your city, even the calm waves of the ocean, all are passengers in motion. If you could speed up time just a little, you would see the continents glide like ships, crash like waves, and scatter like leaves in the cosmic wind. The earth would look alive, not static, but flowing, like a great slow river of stone. And in this realization, a kind of peace arrives, because movement, even unseen, is proof of life. The planet is not a dead rock, but a body, and you, small, human, transient, are part of its metabolism. You, too, move with it. Your life, your heartbeat, your breath, all are synced to this ancient rhythm. You are, in your own quiet way, an echo of the planet's living pulse. So, as you lie here, listening to the faint hum of the world below, imagine the crust drifting, the mantle swirling, the core turning like a slow golden ember. Imagine the continents shifting under starlight, mountains rising in silence, oceans opening like petals. This is not chaos. This is creation, moving at the speed of patience. And in that patience, you find rest, because the earth does not rush. It changes quietly, steadily, teaching you that transformation does not always need noise. Sometimes it happens beneath the surface, slowly, invisibly, beautifully. You close your eyes now, feeling the warmth of the earth beneath you, its age, its motion, its memory. And for a moment, your own breathing syncs with its breath. The world beneath your feet is no longer a thing you stand upon. It is a living companion, holding you, humming softly, carrying you through time, and as you drift towards sleep. One quiet thought remains. If the ground beneath you can move so slowly, so gracefully, perhaps change in your own life can be just as gentle, not forced, not rushed, just inevitable and kind. The earth breathes, and so do you, both alive, both ancient, both still learning how to move. And deep beneath that stillness, something stirs, leading you toward the next rhythm, the next whisper of the planet's breath. You lie in stillness, the faint hum of the world beneath you, soft, almost imperceptible, like a sleeping giant exhaling under your skin. The air feels heavier tonight, as if the atmosphere itself is resting, settling into its own long, measured breath. If you listen, not with your ears, but with your awareness, you can feel it, the planet moving, ever so slowly, as if inhaling through its tectonic lungs. The crust you walk upon is not solid in the way it seems. Beneath it, molten rock swirls and sighs, shifting plates that cradle entire continents. These plates drift at the pace of fingernails, growing invisible in a day, undeniable through the ages. You imagine it now, continents sliding apart like ice drifting on a slow river, carried by currents of unseen fire. The mantle, thousands of kilometers thick, churns with quiet purpose. Heat rises from the planet's core, an ancient furnace that has never gone out. Each plume of molten rock pushes upward, soft but unstoppable, guiding mountains to rise and oceans to open. It is the Earth's way of keeping balance, releasing pressure, recycling stone, breathing in cycles that outlast civilizations. You take a breath, slow and deep, and realize that even your lungs mimic this motion. Inhale, expansion, exhale, release. So does the Earth. Its crust expands and compresses. Its oceans swell and recede. Its atmosphere warms and cools in timeless rhythm. Somewhere beneath the Pacific, a vast ridge glows with life and heat. Lava spills from cracks in the seafloor, hardening instantly in the cold water, creating new crust, new foundation for the world above. Tiny creatures thrive there, blind but luminous, feeding on the chemicals that leak from the deep. Even here, in darkness where sunlight has never touched, life synchronizes with Earth's breath. You picture this from above the planet as a great, glowing sphere suspended in the black sea of space. A thin haze of blue atmosphere clings to it, trembling slightly like mist over water. Clouds swirl in slow motion spirals, tracing invisible air currents that weave warmth from the equator to the poles. Every gust of wind, every wave against the shore is another exhalation of that grand living system, the oceans. To breathe, when warm water drifts across the surface, it carries carbon from the air, inhaling what the sky gives. When it sinks, deep and cold, it exhales nutrients back to the sea floor. Currents like the Gulf Stream are arteries of this process, circulating the planet's memory of temperature and time. Even the forests mirror this exchange. Each morning, when the first light arrives, leaves unfurl and drink the air, taking in carbon, giving out oxygen. At night, when you close your eyes, they rest, releasing a faint exhale. You and the trees breathe the same invisible air, connected through the same endless rhythm, a single, shared respiration across land, sea, and sky. You might not think of stone as alive, yet the crust itself changes, flexes, and renews. Mountains crumble into rivers, rivers carve new valleys, and sediments drift to the ocean floor to be reborn as new rock. Nothing is wasted, not even silence. The planet recycles stillness into motion, just as it turns pressure into release. Somewhere deep in the mantle, a slow pulse of molten rock begins to rise. It takes millions of years to reach the surface, patient beyond imagination. When it does, it finds a weakness in the crust and emerges in a burst of light. A volcano breathing out after ages of silence. Ash fills the air, but even this destruction feeds life. Minerals return to the soil. Islands are born. Ecosystems bloom again. You realize destruction here is not an end, but an inhale between transformations. The planet does not hurry. It trusts its cycles, and so you, too, can rest in the certainty that all change carries renewal. If you could hold the Earth's pulse in your palm, it would feel steady and low, a gentle beat under layers of stone and ocean. It would remind you of your own heartbeat, another rhythm shaped by warmth and pressure. By flow and release, you are not apart from this system. You are a cell within its vast body, living by the same law of breath and return. As you drift deeper into stillness, imagine lying on the Earth's chest, the curve of the planet rising and falling beneath you. Every quake, every tide, every storm is simply another heartbeat, another breath. The same motion that builds mountains also stirs the wind that cools your face. All of it, from magma to mist, is part of one long inhale, one long exhale. Your thoughts slow, moving like continents across the dark ocean of your mind. Each idea drifts, collides, reshapes itself, forming new patterns, new lands of understanding. The boundaries between you and the planet blur. You are the warmth in its core, the air in its lungs, the whisper in its winds. There is comfort in this vastness, in knowing that beneath every surface, something ancient is at work, keeping balance without needing to be seen. You can let go of the need to control, because the earth never rushes, never forces. It simply flows, expands, and renews. You, too, are allowed to flow. As the night deepens, the stars above shimmer faintly, scattered like glowing minerals across the dark. Two follow cycles, forming, burning, collapsing, returning to dust. The same dust that built them built you. The same elements that move in the core of the earth flow quietly in your blood. The air you breathe now may have once drifted through the lungs of ancient creatures, across forests long turned to stone, over oceans that no longer exist. Everything you are is borrowed. Atoms recycled through time. Particles that have witnessed the earth's first dawn. When you breathe, you join this ancient rhythm again, adding your voice to the silent harmony that has never stopped in this stillness. There is peace. The planet does not ask you to move faster. It invites you to slow down, to feel its patience, to match its quiet endurance. Every moment becomes an echo of geologic time. Vast, forgiving, eternal, you drift towards sleep as the world beneath continues its gentle exhale. The ocean's pulse, the crust sighs, the air cools against your skin, and deep below, the core keeps burning, a steady ember that never dims. You feel it, the warmth, the rhythm, the belonging, and as your body relaxes, the planet's heartbeat becomes your lullaby. The continents move in their dreams. The seas breathe softly against unseen shores, and you, a tiny part of this living planet, rest in sync with the Earth's slow, eternal breath. Tomorrow, you will journey deeper from the breathing crust to the glowing heart below, where heat and pressure sculpt the very bones of the planet, and the story of creation itself begins again. You lie within the gentle hush of night, your body still as the world breathes softly around you. The darkness feels warm, as if the earth itself has pulled a quiet blanket over you. Yet beneath the calm surface of continents and oceans, there stirs something ancient, something that never sleeps, the hidden heat of our planet. The fire that has burned since the beginning, shaping every mountain, island, and shore you've ever known. Tonight, you travel downward, not into dreams, but into the molten heart of the world. You imagine the ground beneath you as layers of story, each one whispering of time. The soil that holds your feet belongs to the now, the age of trees, rivers, and air, but below it, the rocks begin to grow older. They harden, darken, and press together like memories that refuse to fade. Deeper still, the world begins to glow. Here, light has no color, only warmth. It is the quiet breath of magma, the pulse of Earth's inner life. The fire beneath is not chaos, though it moves like a restless dream. It flows slowly, endlessly, a dance of heat and gravity. You picture it as a slow golden river, its current invisible, yet strong enough to carry entire continents across the surface of the world. Every inch of land you know, the mountains, deserts, the homes and oceans, is a passenger floating on that invisible tide. It is strange to think that the ground, which feels so still, is always moving. But the Earth's crust is like a great mosaic of plates, immense fragments of stone that drift upon the molten sea below. They meet, press, and slide, like sleeping giants turning in their dreams. Where they collide, mountains rise. Where they drift apart, new oceans are born. You close your eyes, and you see it in your mind, a slow ballet of continents. Africa and South America once joined hand in hand, then drifted apart across the Atlantic's quiet cradle. India journeyed north for millions of years before it collided with Asia, folding the Earth into the Himalayas, the tallest mountains on our planet, and the newest. These colossal movements happen so slowly that no one alive will ever feel them, and yet they never stop. Now, picture the heat that drives this motion, the hidden engine beneath your dreams. Deep within the mantle, convection currents swirl like the gentle eddies of a warm bath. Hot rock rises, cool rock sinks, and in this silent cycle, the Earth exhales. Volcanoes are the open mouths of this breath, where molten whispers reach the surface and glow against the night. When lava cools, it becomes new crust, young and strong, ready to begin the endless journey again. You drift deeper in your imagination, down past the crust and mantle, to where pressure becomes unimaginable. The core, a glowing heart of iron and nickel, spinning quietly in the dark. The outer layer flows like honey, while the inner core stands solid, suspended within liquid fire. As it spins, it generates a magnetic field that wraps around the planet like an invisible shield, protecting life from cosmic winds. You are alive tonight because the heart of the Earth is turning. The thought is strangely comforting that deep below your resting body, there exists a warmth that has never gone out. The same fire that lit the first volcano still burns today. The same movement that tore continents apart will one day bring them together again. The Earth is not simply a planet. It is a living rhythm, ancient and endless. Above ground, time feels linear. A moment passes and it is gone. But in the belly of the Earth, time moves in circles. Rock melts and hardens. Land sinks and rises. Life emerges and disappears, and yet the pattern remains. You are part of that pattern, just as your breath is part of the wind, and your heartbeat is part of the Earth's quiet music. You imagine standing on a volcanic island in the middle of the ocean. The air is still, filled with the scent of salt and ash. Beneath your feet, you can almost feel the slow pulse of magma, the energy that built this small world of stone. The stars above seem to shimmer in rhythm with it, as though they too can hear the Earth breathing. The lava below the surface is not merely destruction. It is creation in disguise. From molten chaos comes land. From fire comes foundation. Each eruption writes a new chapter in the story of the planet, adding fresh rock, fertile soil, and even the minerals that someday become life. The very elements within your body, iron in your blood, calcium in your bones, were once part of that same volcanic birth. You carry pieces of the Earth's fire within you. You start to feel small in the best way possible, not insignificant, but connected. The continents, the magma, the stars, and you, all made of the same cosmic dust, warmed by the same ancient heat. When you breathe, you are participating in a conversation that began long before words existed. Now you find yourself imagining the plates shifting again. You can almost hear the faint creak of rock moving, millimeter by millimeter. Some plates dive beneath others into the mantle, swallowed whole, only to re-emerge centuries later as fresh stone. Others drift apart, leaving behind vast cracks that fill with oceans. The planet reshapes itself quietly, never in a hurry. Even the mountains, those towering monuments of time, are temporary. Wind and rain will someday wear them down to grains of sand, which rivers will carry away to the sea. There, in the deep and quiet places of the ocean floor, the sediments will settle again, waiting to be reborn as new rock. Everything is part of the cycle. Everything is returning home. You lie still, letting that idea settle inside you. The Earth is not just beneath you, it is within you. Your warmth, your pulse, your calm, they all echo the movement of the molten world below. You are made of stories written in stone, of fire cooled into form. As you drift towards sleep, imagine the continents once more, vast, slow, unhurried, drifting across the dark sea of magma. You are floating with them, carried by the same hidden current. The fire beneath you hums softly, a deep lullaby that has played for billions of years, and somewhere far below, in the quiet heart of the Earth, the molten fire turns once more, whispering to the surface, promising that nothing ever truly stops moving, not even in the deepest stillness of night. You lie still, as if floating above a vast ancient map, the surface of Earth, painted not in colors of nations or cities, but in drifting shapes of land and sea. Each continent seems to breathe, slow and silent, moving in ways your eyes cannot see but your mind can feel. Beneath that calm facade of rock and ocean, something old and patient is at work, the planet's secret dance. The continents are not fixed. They never were. What you stand on today was once beneath an ocean. What lies beneath a desert may someday bloom as forest again. The Earth, steady as it feels beneath your feet, is a ship made of restless plates, gliding upon molten seas of stone. You imagine the planet millions of years ago, no familiar outlines, no borders, just drifting fragments of land, colliding, merging, separating. Each motion is unimaginably slow, yet unrelenting. The continents do not rush. They drift, like ice on a deep and invisible current. The ground beneath you, the mountains you see, the valleys you know, all are part of a rhythm that began long before humans dreamt or named the stars. The plates move because the earth itself is alive with motion. Deep below, heat rises from its molten heart, setting slow tides of rock into motion. These currents push the continents above, pulling them apart. Bringing them together, you picture two massive plates, meeting their edges, grinding softly, like whispers of stone. The ground trembles. Mountains rise from the pressure. What feels like catastrophe in human years is creation in Earth's time. A new range is born. Snow will someday settle on its peaks, and rivers will carve their way down. Continents drift, not just by force, but by the quiet persistence of time. You might imagine them as dancers, immense, graceful, infinitely patient. One turns toward another, meeting after millions of years apart. Their reunion births fire, earthquakes, oceans. Their parting opens new seas. The world rearranges itself in silence as you breathe. Think of how your own chest rises and falls, softly mirroring the rhythm of the earth. Every inhale is like the gathering of heat within the planet's mantle. Every exhale, a release of energy through volcanic breath. You and the planet share this rhythm, both made of cycles, both born from motion. Now imagine standing at the edge of an ocean, waves lapping gently, moonlight trembling on the water. Beneath those waters lies the seam of two great plates. One slips beneath another, vanishing into the dark. There, in the unseen depths, new rock melts, cools, and is reborn. What is destroyed below resurfaces in another age. The continents do not merely drift, they evolve. They remember their collisions in mountain ranges and their separations in wide oceans. The Himalayas are the echo of two worlds embracing. The Atlantic is the whisper left by two that let go. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel the hum of this endless waltz. Not in noise, but in presence. A silent, deep knowing that the world beneath you is never still. The earth has no beginning or end in its motion. It only changes form. Land becomes ocean. Ocean becomes land. It is a rhythm of creation, not chaos. Beneath the quiet of night, you picture this motion unfolding like a slow, luminous film. Continents glowing faintly, drifting on currents of molten rock. Their paths crossing over millennia, their borders dissolving and reforming. A calm dance across geological time. You wonder how small your lifetime feels beside this movement. And yet you are a part of it. The iron in your blood was once in molten rock. The minerals in your bones were once ocean floor. You were built from the planet's memory, shaped by every collision, every wave, every fire in this long waltz. There is no rush. The continents do not strive, they drift. They do not fight their direction, they yield to the forces below. You feel the lesson hidden in their silence, that movement can be steady, that change can be calm. The crust beneath you, thin and fragile as an eggshell, carries all life, all stories, all human dreams. And yet beneath it lies a restless heart. The mantle, glowing and alive, carrying the world forward. You picture the Earth from space now, a deep blue sphere wrapped in white clouds. Beneath that calm beauty, the continents slide imperceptibly. Africa drifts slowly north. Australia journeys eastward. South America glides away from Africa, leaving the widening Atlantic between them. The continents drift at the pace your nails grow, a few centimeters each year. But across the age of the planet, that is enough to reshape everything. Mountains rise where oceans once were. Islands emerge, only to sink again beneath the waves. What appears eternal is only a moment in Earth's great exhale. When you sleep tonight, the continents will still move. When you wake, they will have shifted by only the width of a dream. You are part of this journey. You belong to a planet that never stops breathing, never stops evolving. Every grain of sand under your feet carries the story of that long waltz, once part of mountains, then riverbeds, then shores. Nothing is lost. Everything transforms as your thoughts drift like the continents. Slow and serene, you feel the comfort of knowing that even change can be patient. The earth is in motion, but never in haste. It moves in grace, in rhythm, in balance. And as this dance continues, deep beneath your quiet sleep, the world prepares for the next breath, the next wave of motion, the next silent act of creation. The continents glide on, their steps slow and eternal, and beneath that slow waltz, something deeper waits to rise, the pulse of fire that fuels their dance, the molten heart that shapes the face of the world. You feel it before you see it, a warmth rising from below, ancient and alive. Beneath the calm surface of countenance, beneath the ocean floors and mountain roots, something glows. It is not a blaze that burns quickly. It is a fire that waits, patient and deep, a quiet heart beating within the planet. You imagine the earth cut open gently, layer by layer, the crust, like the skin of an apple, the mantle thick and glowing, the core a radiant heart of iron. The deeper you go, the more alive it feels. This is the pulse of the world, the fire that drives the continents above, the warmth that keeps the planet breathing. You close your eyes and picture it, molten rock swirling like honey, waves of heat rising and folding in slow motion. These are convection currents, the unseen tides of stone that move the world. Heat rises, cools, and sinks again, repeating endlessly, a circular breath within the earth's body. This is not chaos, but rhythm, an inner tide that flows in silence. The continents above are passengers on these glowing rivers. Every mountain, every volcano, every earthquake begins with a sigh from this deep, unseen fire. You feel its calm persistence, a power that asks for no witness, no applause. It has burned since the beginning, fueled by the planet's birth, by the collision of dust and starlight. The same heat that once forged the solar system still moves quietly beneath your feet, and sometimes that calm pressure finds a voice. You see a mountain trembling, the earth opening like a breath taken too deep. Lava spills forth, glowing against the dark sky, painting the horizon in orange light. To the human eye, it looks violent, but to the planet, it is release. The same way a sigh escapes the lungs after long stillness. Each eruption, each plume of ash is not destruction, it is renewal. The molten rock that flows out will someday cool into fertile soil. New land will form. Life will return. Even in fire, the planet dreams of creation. You think of how fire has always been both feared and revered. To humans, it meant warmth and danger, survival and destruction. But to the earth, it is simply the language of transformation. Beneath volcanoes, new crust forms where none existed before. At mid-ocean ridges, fire rises through the sea floor, spreading continents apart, breathing new land into existence. The Atlantic itself was born from such slow, glowing births, one eruption at a time, one breath every 1,000 years. You imagine yourself standing beside such a ridge, deep beneath the ocean. Around you, darkness stretches infinitely, but here and there, flickers of orange light glow through cracks in the sea floor. It is not light as you know it. It is warmth embodied, a pulse. Around it, strange life forms gather, thriving in heat and sulfur, where no sunlight reaches. These are reminders that even in the planet's hidden fires, life finds a way to bloom. You drift upward in your imagination, toward a volcanic island forming above the waves. Steam curls from its surface, and black rock glistens beneath the stars. No plants yet, no sound but the slow cooling of stone. And yet, you can almost feel the promise that in time, rain will fall, seeds will find a way, and what was once molten will turn green dot in this slow rhythm. The earth reshapes itself, layer upon layer, cycle upon cycle. The same heat that drives destruction also creates balance. For every mountain it tears apart, it raises another. For every valley it swallows, it gives birth to new land. As you listen to this thought, you begin to sense a quiet kinship between your own life and this endless cycle. You too are reshaped by invisible fires, by moments of pressure, by heat that transforms pain into strength. The earth teaches you that to burn is not to end, but to begin again. The fires within the earth are not reckless. They are patient artists, sculpting continents, raising islands, writing the long story of geology in molten script. You can imagine magma chambers as slow hearts beating their rhythms steady, their silence deceptive. Sometimes they sleep for centuries, gathering energy like a held breath. Then, one day, the mountain exhales, releasing what it can no longer hold. The sky darkens, the earth trembles, and the world is reminded of its living core. And after the eruption, silence again. Ash drifts through the air like soft snow, covering everything in grey. But beneath it, life waits. Seeds hidden in the soil are nourished by minerals released in the eruption. Soon, the first green shoots appear. In time, forests return from destruction, fertility, from fire, rebirth. You feel comfort in this balance, that the earth knows how to begin again, no matter how much it burns. That beneath every still surface, warmth remains. The fires that shape the sky do not rage without meaning. They are the planet's slow exhalations, the rhythm of its long life. You might even imagine them as dreams, each eruption a brief awakening, a reminder that even in deep stillness, something within is alive and aware. The heat comes not just from the surface, but from the heart, from radioactive decay, from the energy left over from the planet's birth, from the compression of its massive core. It is an ancient inheritance, one that will outlive every mountain and every ocean. The earth carries its own warmth like memory, not as flame, but as the soft glow of endurance. Sometimes, you may feel small when you think of these forces, the heat, the scale, the unimaginable age. But the same energy that shapes mountains moves through you too. The warmth of your body, the electric spark of your mind, both are echoes of the same cosmic fire. You are not separate from the planet's heat. You are a tiny flame within it. You can picture it now, the Earth's molten heart glowing beneath, and your heartbeat mirroring it. Two rhythms, two fires, both ancient, both alive, as you breathe slower. You imagine drifting over volcanic plains, sleeping craters, glowing rivers of rock. Each one is part of the Earth's quiet renewal. No rush, no noise, just slow, graceful creation through fire and above. The sky reflects the story, colored by ash and sunlight, painted in hues that shift with every eruption. The fires below shape the beauty above. Even sunsets owe their glow to volcanic breath. The Earth is an artist of cycles, stone to fire, fire to stone again. Nothing wasted, nothing lost, and in its slow burning there is wisdom that even what seems destructive can become a foundation for new life. That even fire, given patience, becomes soil. As the glow of magma fades in your imagination, the warmth lingers. You feel it settle in your chest, not as danger, but as quiet reassurance. The world beneath you is alive, and in its warmth you are safe. This fire is the reason the continents drift. It is the engine of all movement, the unseen artist shaping the face of the earth, and as you rest, you sense it, a slow murmur rising from below, like a whisper through stone, calling you toward what lies even deeper, the iron heart of the planet itself. The warmth gathers into light, the surface fades. You drift downward, toward the core, where the fires become pure, and the Earth's heartbeat becomes your own. You close your eyes and imagine the descent. The crust and mantle fade behind you, layers of stone and molten rivers softening into red light. You are drifting through warmth, deeper and deeper, until the very idea of surface disappears. Around you, the glow thickens, golden and alive. You are nearing the Earth's hidden heart, the iron core, a place that no eye has ever seen, yet whose pulse you feel with every step upon the ground. It is strange to think that something so invisible holds everything in balance. The core, a vast sphere of molten iron and nickel, burns quietly, not with flame, but with pressure so immense it glows. Its energy ripples outward, shaping the magnetic field that shields the planet from solar storms. The Earth's calm surface, the oceans, the air all depend on this deep and silent strength. You can almost hear it, a low hum, a vibration that has been resonating for billions of years. The core is not still. It rotates, slowly, within the mantle, like a clock turning inside another clock. Its rhythm defines the heartbeat of the planet. As you drift closer, the image sharpens, the outer core swirling like liquid gold, the inner core gleaming solid and dense. Temperatures here rival the surface of the sun, yet everything moves in harmony, a molten ballet that never stops. You can sense the magnetic field being born, invisible lines of energy stretching outward, wrapping the planet in a cocoon of protection. Without this shield, the solar wind would strip away the atmosphere, the oceans would fade, and life would vanish. Every breath you take, every quiet moment under the stars, is a gift from this hidden iron sea. You pause in this thought that the very thing protecting you has never been seen, never touched. It is faith, made of metal and heat. It feels almost alive, doesn't it? You picture it as a great heart, glowing softly, pulsing slowly, the rhythm older than mountains. The mantle above rises and falls with its warmth. The continents drift because of it. Volcanoes breathe because of it. The magnetic field sings because of it. The iron heart does not need to be loud. It does not need to be seen. It simply continues, quietly, endlessly, keeping the world turning. You feel a kinship with that quiet endurance. You, too, carry a core that no one sees, a center of strength beneath the layers of surface and story. The world only knows your outer shape, but deep within, there is something that burns softly and keeps you alive. As you drift in this thought, the darkness glows, faintly red, then gold. You see the flow of molten iron spiral like wind in water, creating swirls of motion that shimmer and fade. Scientists call these movements geodynamo, the process that generates the magnetic field. But here, in this meditative space, you see it as something more poetic. The Earth's heartbeat turned into light. Each swirl of metal carries memory of the planet's formation, of collisions with other bodies, of the ancient chaos that birthed order. You are looking not at destruction, but at endurance. The molten outer core spins faster than the planet itself, and the solid inner core spins differently still to motions, nested within one another, each shaping the magnetic field above. The world, you realize, is a song of motion, a duet between heat and time, silence and sound. You drift deeper still, until you reach the inner core. It is not fluid here, but solid iron, compressed into crystalline structure by the weight of the world above. If you could touch it, it would feel both impossibly hot and impossibly firm. The most enduring part of the planet. You imagine standing there, surrounded by the glow of liquid fire. Yet the ground beneath your feet is iron, unyielding, ancient, pure. This is the foundation of everything. The Earth's balance depends on it. The continents rest upon it. The oceans dance because of it. And yet, it has never seen sunlight. There's a beauty in that. How something so unseen can hold such importance. It reminds you that not all power is visible. Some strength is silent. Some hearts beat quietly in the dark. You linger here, breathing slowly. The pressure around you feels immense, yet calm. The sound is not sound as you know it, more like vibration, the slow music of molten movement. You imagine listening for 1,000 years. The tone would not change. The iron heart keeps its rhythm, steady and forgiving. You think of how the magnetic field born from this molten motion extends outward into space, forming a great invisible bubble around Earth. Scientists call it the magnetosphere, but in your imagination it feels more like a gentle halo, a light you cannot see that protects you from harm. Every compass needle, every aurora dancing near the poles, every spark of electricity in the sky, all trace their origin back to this heart. You picture the northern lights, now green curtains of energy flowing through the night sky. They seem to be alive, breathing in rhythm with the core far below. The earth glows from within and without, light mirrored by light. The connection feels intimate, the deepest point of the planet, speaking to the farthest edge of the atmosphere. As above, so below, and somewhere between. You rest held by the warmth beneath and the light. Above you feel safe in that symmetry. You imagine lying on the ground at night, eyes closed, your back against the earth. The warmth that rises through the soil. The faint pulse you almost think you can feel. It's the same rhythm you felt in the molten depths. The world's heartbeat steady beneath your own. It whispers to you in silence. Even in stillness, I am moving. Even in darkness, I am alive. You begin to understand that the earth is not a rock floating in space. It is a living body. Its iron core is its heart. The mantle is its breath. The crust is its skin. and the oceans and clouds are its dreams. And just as your heart sends warmth to your hands, the planet's heart sends energy through its layers, reaching even the roots of trees, the heat of springs, the spark of lightning. You realize you and the planet are not separate. You are made of its elements, your blood rich with the same iron that burns in its core. The metal in your body once belonged to stars, to planets before this one. You are carrying a piece of the Earth's heart inside you. That thought feels both humbling and comforting. You breathe slowly, feeling the connection deepen. The idea that the same iron within the planet's heart is what lets your own heart carry oxygen, what lets you live, think, dream. You are, in every sense, a reflection of this deeper rhythm. The Earth's core cools slowly over billions of years, and as it cools, it releases energy that drives the mantle's movement, the drift of continents, the rising of mountains. Even in its aging, it creates life. Even as it changes, it is an elder heart, one that has never stopped giving warmth. You sense the scale of it now, vast, silent, unwavering. You can feel how everything you've explored so far, the drifting plates, the hidden fires, all trace back to this one glowing center. You wonder, softly, what happens when this heart finally cools. But even that thought brings no fear, only gratitude for its endurance. The Earth is teaching you something profound, that the truest strength does not rush, does not shout. It simply continues, quietly, steadily, endlessly, you imagine. One last time, the slow swirl of molten light, the iron heart breathing in rhythm with your own. The sound fades into silence, but the warmth remains, and as it fades, you feel yourself rising gently back through the layers, the mantle, the crust, until you are standing once more on the surface. The stars above shimmer faintly. The ground beneath holds its warmth. You lie down, eyes open to the night sky, feeling the Earth's pulse beneath you faint, patient, eternal, and as your thoughts soften, another question begins to form, a quiet curiosity about the world above, where continents meet, oceans and mountains hold their breath against the wind. The ground beneath whispers, look upward now. The fires below have told their story. The next chapter waits in the cool air and distant horizon. You awaken on the surface of the world, beneath a pale dawn. The air feels thin, touched by silence. Somewhere in the distance, the faint silhouette of mountains rises, blue and endless, like frozen waves of stone. After the warmth of the Earth's core, this place feels cool, still. Patient Dot, you begin to walk. The ground beneath you is firm and old, carrying the memory of fire and movement from deep below. Each step feels like stepping across time. You know now that the mountains are not simply scenery, they are the scars and breaths of a living planet. As you walk closer, the peaks begin to reveal their detail, sharp ridges softening in mist, shadows etched across their sides like wrinkles of age. They seem eternal, but you know they are still moving, still being born inch by inch. Year by year, mountains are time made visible. You remember what lies beneath, the mantle currents pushing, the plates colliding. That invisible motion so slow you could never see it, rises here into form. It takes millions of years for the planet's hidden breath to lift rock toward the sky. You can almost feel that slow exhale, the Earth stretching upward, one patient sigh at a time. Each mountain began as pressure. Two plates met, pressed, refused to give. The crust folded, cracked, and lifted, and from that slow collision, beauty emerged. It's strange to think that something as peaceful as a mountain was born from such force, from heat and strain. But maybe that's how all beauty begins. Pressure transformed into stillness. The Himalayas, the Andes, the Rockies, each is a monument to movement, yet they seem to rest. They are motion frozen into grace. You sit at the base of one now, the rock cool beneath your hand. You imagine what lies inside it, layers of stone that once lay beneath oceans, shells and sand, now raised miles above sea level. Every layer tells a story of life, of death, of patience. The wind brushes past, carrying the scent of minerals, cold and clean. Somewhere, water trickles down through a narrow stream, the mountain's voice, soft and persistent. You listen. Mountains speak slowly. You can only hear them when your own thoughts grow quiet. They remind you that change doesn't always need to be fast. Some movements are so slow they seem eternal, yet they are happening all the same. You look upward, tracing the jagged outline of stone against the pale sky. Somewhere near the top, snow catches the early light, glowing faintly. It feels like a crown, like a memory of the stars. You realize mountains are bridges between worlds. Their roots sink into the deep crust. Their peaks brush the sky. They connect the earth's core to its clouds, the hidden fire below to the cold whisper of space. When tectonic plates collide, the crust folds and thickens, pushing up mountain ranges. These collisions shape continents, redirect rivers, and sculpt the very air we breathe. Without them, there would be no balance between land and sea. You think of the Himalayas still rising today, as the Indian plate presses against the Eurasian plate. Each year, they grow a few millimeters taller. In the language of human life, it's imperceptible. But in the Earth's time, it's movement, growth, persistence. Mountains don't hurry. They simply rise at the pace of patience. As you continue to walk, you notice the small things. Moss clinging to rock, a thin line of snow melting into a stream, the echo of wind moving between peaks. Every detail feels sacred, deliberate. You imagine the earth beneath you, its plates grinding, its molten heart fueling the push. From that deep, unseen struggle comes this quiet majesty. It's humbling, isn't it? To stand before something that took millions of years to breathe into being. You sit and let your breath slow. The rhythm of your lungs begins to match the slow rhythm of the mountain. You realize you are part of the same pattern, the same patient unfolding of time. Each heartbeat is a moment of motion. Each inhale, a small tectonic lift within your chest. The mountain, too, breathes, though its breath takes centuries in its silence. You can sense the faint pulse of the planet, a rhythm that binds all living and unliving things. Mountains also crumble in their own time. Wind and water, frost and rain, they wear away what was once unbreakable. The sharp peaks soften, the cliffs round out, the rock returns to sand. And yet, even in their erosion, there is grace. Nothing here truly dies. It only changes shape. The dust that falls from a crumbling peak may one day settle at the bottom of an ocean, waiting to rise again. You see, the mountains are not monuments to permanence. They are monuments to the beauty of slow change. You look closer at the stones near your feet, tiny grains of quartz catching the light. Each one has traveled more than you can imagine, through pressure, heat, fracture, and time. And now they rest here, beneath your hand, waiting for the next cycle to begin. The world breathes like that, slowly, deeply. even in stillness. It moves. You close your eyes and imagine what lies beyond these mountains. On the other side, there are valleys, rivers, plains, each shaped by what rises here. The rain that falls upon these peaks becomes rivers that feed forests and oceans. Life depends on their slow melting dot. Mountains hold the world's water, frozen stories of rain and time. When they melt, they nourish everything below. You realize now they are not just symbols of stillness. They are living arteries of the earth. As you sit there, the wind changes, cooler now, softer. You can hear the low rumble of distant thunder, a reminder that even the tallest peaks live under the sky's moods. Lightning flashes far away, briefly illuminating the ridges in pale silver. It's a beautiful reminder that even what feels eternal bows to the moment. And in that instant, you feel small, but peacefully so. Small like a breath within a long song, part of something vast and kind. The mountain stands quiet, not to be worshipped, but to be understood. Its silence is not pride, it is patience. Its height is not defiance, it is surrender to time. You rest there, watching the light fade. Shadows lengthen across the rock, turning the mountain violet, then grey. Night settles like a slow tide. Stars begin to appear, faint, steady, familiar. You lie back on the ground, the cool stone beneath you still holding the warmth of day. You look upward and realize the peaks now frame the sky, like hands cupping the stars. You think of the journey that brought you here from molten depths to mountain heights. The same force that burns below gives rise to the peaks above. Creation and calm are two sides of one breath. And as you breathe in that thought, something within you softens the need for speed, the need for answers. You begin to understand what the mountains have been teaching all along, that strength doesn't always look like motion, that patience is a kind of power, that beauty, like mountains, grows in silence. You let that understanding settle, like snow upon stone, somewhere far below. The tectonic plates still shift, the hidden breath of the world continuing unseen. And somewhere above, the first faint stars shimmer in the high. Cold air, you close your eyes, feeling both beneath and above, connected to fire and sky. Your thoughts drift softly, carried by the wind that moves between peaks, and then, in that silence, another question forms, quiet but alive. What happens when stone meets air? When mountains crumble and the wind takes what's left? You smile faintly, knowing the next story waits in the dust, the story of rivers, valleys, and the long journey of water. You wake to the sound of water, a soft murmur, a whisper that threads through stone and air. It's not the stillness of mountains anymore, it's motion. The earth's slow breath has begun to flow. You open your eyes, and in the dim light of dawn you see it. A river winding through the valley, silver and slow, like a thought that never ends. The air smells of wet earth and moss. The mountain you slept beneath still lingers in the background, half veiled by mist, watching over the path the river takes. It begins there in the melt of snow, in the sigh of ice. Every drop that trickles down a mountainside is a memory of what once was frozen, now finding freedom in motion. You step closer, and the ground softens beneath your feet. The water moves with purpose, yet without hurry, smooth, patient, as if it knows there's no need to rush where time itself is infinite. Rivers are the earth's storytellers. Every curve, every ripple, every soft bend in the current holds a memory of where it has been. They carry whispers of mountains, fragments of stone, the quiet dust of ancient worlds. When you dip your hand into the stream, it's cold, the kind of cold that feels awake. It slides past your skin, continuing its journey without pause, as though it were politely passing through your world. Just as it passes through time, the river is never still. Yet, in its motion, there's calm. It doesn't resist, it doesn't fight the path carved for it. It simply flows, yielding to the shape of the earth, yet shaping it all the same. You follow it, walking along the bank, and you begin to see how it moves with life. Around a bend, the current deepens and darkens. In another, sunlight dances across its ripples. Every few steps, the sound changes, a bubbling laugh over pebbles, a sigh in the quiet pools, a soft hum beneath the reeds. This, you realize, is the language of time made liquid, where the mountain rose in silence, the river sings. Where rocks stood firm, water yields, and in that yielding it carves the world. It seems impossible that something so soft could shape something so hard. Yet, over centuries, rivers sculpt valleys, cut canyons, and move mountains grain by grain. What strength could be greater than patience? You pause beside a wider stretch, watching reflections drift across the surface, clouds, trees, your own quiet face. The image ripples, reshapes, reforms. It's like watching thought itself take form and dissolve again. You begin to sense that the river is not simply water, it is memory. It remembers every stone it has touched, every rainfall, every path it has taken to reach this moment. And in a way, you are the same maid of memories flowing through you, shaping who you are, changing you in ways you can't always see. The river continues, winding deeper through the valley, where moss grows thick and roots drink deeply from its edge. You walk beside it for what feels like hours, or perhaps years. Time stretches differently here. At times, it seems as if the river slows to rest, as if even movement needs a moment of stillness. In those wide, glassy pools, you can see fish gliding, silent, effortless. Silver threads in the water's weave. You think of how life began, not in air or on land, but in water. Long before continents drifted or mountains rose, there were only oceans, and within them, the first whispers of life. Water was the first home, the first cradle. And every river is a return, a reminder of where all life once belonged. It feels strange, how the most essential parts of us still echo that origin. Your blood, your tears, the fluid that fills your cells, all carry the chemistry of ancient seas. You, too, are a river in motion. The flow within your veins mirrors the flow around you. Your heartbeat becomes a current, your breath a tide. You begin to feel less like you're walking beside the river, and more like you are walking within it, carried by it. Part of it, the river bends through forests, through stones worn smooth by centuries. Trees lean toward it, their roots tracing downward like hands reaching to touch its passing. They know, in their quiet wisdom, that life flows from water. Every drop that moves past carries stories of fallen leaves, of melted snow, of distant storms. You imagine all the paths that merge here, all the unseen streams that feed this one thread of motion. It's like thoughts joining in a single mind, distinct yet united in flow. And somewhere down this path, far beyond where you can see, this river will meet others. They will merge, their identities dissolving, their currents intertwining. Together they'll grow wider, slower, deeper, until, at last, they reach the ocean. You realize this is what everything longs for, to return, to merge back into the whole from which it came. That's what the river seeks, what all motion in nature seeks, not escape, but reunion. The river teaches you that there's no shame in surrender. In fact, it's the truest form of movement, to flow toward connection, not away from it. The sunlight begins to fade, and the water takes on the color of dusk, greyblue.com, reflective. Fireflies hover over its surface like wandering stars. You walk slower now, matching your pace to the rhythm of the current dot. Every now and then, you catch a glimpse of erosion, a bank where the soil has been worn away, a tree that leans precariously into the stream. It reminds you that creation and destruction are the same process here. The river destroys to create, carving new paths, opening new ways. There's something deeply peaceful about that. To understand that endings aren't loss, they're transformation. You kneel and watch a leaf fall into the water. It drifts away, twirling softly, then disappears around the bend. You smile faintly. Even the smallest things find their path. The sound of the river deepens as it descends through the land. You follow until you reach a narrow canyon, its walls steep and golden in the fading light. The river cuts through it, relentless and calm. You imagine how long it's been carving here, hundreds of thousands of years, perhaps millions. All that time, the water never stopped. Patience, again. The same patience that lifts mountains also wears them down. You sit beside the canyon's edge, feeling the cool mist rise from below. The sound here is louder, fuller, a chorus of motion echoing through stone. Yet, even in its power, the river remains graceful. It doesn't fight. It flows. You understand now that the river's wisdom lies in its gentleness. It doesn't demand, it persuades. It doesn't break the rock, it smooths it. That is how life endures, not by defiance, but by harmony. The stars begin to appear above, faint and trembling on the darkening water. You feel the night gathering, wrapping everything in quiet. The air grows cooler. The river glows faintly, reflecting the scattered starlight, like veins of silver running through the land. You lie back against a stone and close your eyes. The sound of the water becomes a lullaby, a rhythm older than language. You can almost hear it speaking in a tongue made of time. You wonder how many travelers before you have listened to the same voice, creatures drinking, civilizations building beside its edge, poets finding their metaphors in its motion. The river has always been here, changing shape, but never ceasing. It has seen mountains rise, continents drift, and species come and go. Yet it remains, whispering the same truth. Everything moves, everything connects, everything returns. You breathe slowly, matching its rhythm. Your thoughts quieten. The night deepens. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of the river widens, a deeper, slower tone. You imagine it merging with others, becoming part of something vast and boundless. You can almost sense the ocean waiting, patient, endless, inevitable. You realize, softly, that you are following the same path, moving from your own mountain, beginnings toward a greater whole. You open your eyes one last time. The water gleams faintly under the starlight, flowing toward its destination, whispering the same gentle promise that nothing is truly lost, only carried onward. You smile, feeling that truth settle within you, and as your gaze follows the river's curve into darkness, you find yourself wondering what waits at the end of all these journeys. Where does the flow finally rest? The question drifts through your mind like a leaf on the current, quiet glowing, endless dot. And so the river flows on, pulling you gently toward the sea. You wake to the sound of waves, not rushing, not violent, just a soft, endless rhythm, a hush that moves through the air and the ground, through your chest and breath, as if the whole earth is exhaling. You open your eyes, and the river has become wide, impossibly wide. Before you stretches the ocean, shimmering under a twilight sky. It feels infinite, yet calm. The horizon is a quiet line where water and sky blend into one another. Blue folding into blue dot. You stand at the edge where sand meets sea. The last whisper of the river disappears into this vastness, surrendering itself to something greater. The ocean receives it without a ripple of resistance, as though it has been waiting. You take a step forward. The water touches your feet, cool, delicate, alive. You feel it breathing round your ankles, a pulse that seems older than time. The sound of the waves draws you in, repeating endlessly, like the beating of a slow, eternal heart. Each one carries a memory, a record written not in words, but in rhythm. The ocean remembers everything, every river that ever met its shore, every drop of rain that fell from the sky, every breath of vapor that rose to form a cloud and returned again. All of it comes back here. The ocean is the earth's great memory, holding traces of everything that has lived and died, dissolved, and become part of something larger. You breathe in the salt air, and even that feels ancient. Each grain of salt was once a fragment of stone, a whisper of mountain washed down through time. You are breathing the taste of countenance, of history, of life itself. The sea moves before you in slow motion, darkening as the sky deepens. It is vast, yet intimate. You feel as though it knows you, as though it has been waiting to be seen. You close your eyes and listen. The waves don't just crash, they speak. There's a cadence to their arrival, a soft crescendo, then retreat, like thought, like breath. When you open your eyes again, the horizon has shifted colors, from blue to violet to silver gray. A faint wind touches your face, carrying the scent of salt and distance. You begin to walk along the shore. The sand beneath your feet is cool and damp, patterned by the retreating tide. Tiny shells glint in the fading light, each one a home that once sheltered life. You pick one up, delicate, spiraled, perfect. Inside, you hear a faint hum. People once said you could hear the sea in a shell. You realize now, it isn't just a sound. It's memory captured in form. As you walk, you start to sense how alive the ocean truly is. Beneath its surface, entire worlds exist. Coral gardens glowing like underwater cities. Forests of kelp swaying in the dark. Schools of fish moving like silver thoughts. You imagine what it must feel like down there, suspended in blue silence, where light fades into dream, where everything floats, weightless and free. Every creature here has adapted to the language of water, to its pressure, its darkness, its rhythm. Bioluminescent beings light up the depths, glowing softly like stars beneath the waves. It's as if the sky has another mirror below. You kneel at the shoreline and let your fingers sink into the wet sand. It clings to your skin, then slips away, pulled back by the tide. You feel, in that simple motion, the truth of impermanence, that nothing truly stays, yet nothing truly leaves. Everything moves in cycles. The same water that touches your skin now may one day rise as vapor drift across the world, fall as rain, freeze as snow, or rest in another sea. Every drop travels endlessly, transforming but never ending. You look out at the horizon again, and the thought comes softly. You too are part of this circulation. The water in your blood once flowed in oceans long before your birth. The air in your lungs was once breathed by trees, by whales, by countless lives before you. There is no separation, only exchange. You begin to walk into the water. The waves reach higher, curling gently around your knees, your waist. The sea welcomes you with a steady rhythm, not pushing, not pulling, just inviting. The further you go, the quieter the world becomes. The sounds of the shore fade, replaced by the soft rush of bubbles and your own heartbeat, muffled beneath the surface. You float, letting the salt cradle you. The water supports you effortlessly. You are no longer separate from it. The sky above becomes a reflection on the sea's surface, and you feel caught between two infinities, one above, one below. Drifting there, your mind quiets. You think of how the ocean once covered nearly all of Earth, how land was the exception, not the rule. Life began here, in these waters, billions of years ago. It started small, simple cells, microscopic and fragile. But from those beginnings, complexity grew. Cells joined, communicated, became tissues, creatures, ecosystems. The ocean was the first mind of Earth, the first network of life that learned to sense and respond. When you look out now, you see not emptiness, but intelligence, not human, but vast, collective, patient. The ocean learns, remembers, evolves. It shapes weather, climate, life. Its currents are the planet's pulse. You float in silence, and the water around you feels like thought, slow, interconnected, deep. Perhaps this is what the earth feels like when it dreams. In the distance, lightning flickers, illuminating the clouds. The thunder doesn't frighten you. It feels like a heartbeat echoing through the horizon. You close your eyes and listen to the sound of the deep. Somewhere below, whales sing long, mournful tones that travel for miles. Their voices move through the ocean like messages between souls. You wonder what they say to each other in the dark. Perhaps stories of migration, of love, of remembering. You realize the ocean doesn't just hold physical memory. It holds emotional memory too. Every life it has carried, every sound, every vibration lingers within it. And yet, even with all this depth and history, it remains gentle at the shore. The same water that holds the secrets of time now laps softly at your hand. That balance between power and peace is what makes it sacred. You float for a long while, feeling your heartbeat sync with the waves. The world feels weightless, like time itself has loosened its grip. When you finally return to shore, night has fallen. The stars have come out, hundreds of them, reflected perfectly on the surface of the water. It's as if the sea is holding the sky, keeping it safe. You sit on the sand and watch the waves move in rhythm with the stars. Each crest catches light, gleaming briefly before fading again. It's the same pattern everywhere. Rise, fall, return. Breath, tide, life. You dig your fingers into the sand and feel the grains, tiny, smooth, infinite. Each one was once part of something vast, mountain, rock, coral, shell. Time has turned them soft. The earth recycles itself endlessly, creating beauty out of what was once broken. You think of your own life, how every experience, every loss, every change has shaped you. Like the sand, you've been softened by time. The ocean reminds you that even erosion is a kind of grace. You look out once more and see the faint line of the horizon. The river's journey ended here, but the story continues beyond. The ocean gives rise to clouds, the clouds to rain, and rain to rivers again. It's all one endless loop, one breath, one body. You breathe deeply, letting the salt air fill your lungs. The ocean hums softly in the distance. You feel both very small and very infinite at once. Somewhere within that sound, you sense the next movement, the invisible hand that stirs the sea, shaping winds, guiding storms, sculpting patterns across the planet. That next rhythm, unseen, but powerful, calls softly from beyond the horizon. You listen, eyes half closed, as the sound of the waves begins to merge with the whisper of air, the first faint breath of atmosphere rising from the sea. And in that merging, the story shifts from water to wind, from memory to motion. The tide recedes, the breeze strengthens, and you feel the beginning of another journey, one written not in waves, but in air. The ocean sighs one last time against the shore, and you turn your gaze upward, where the wind begins to move. You sit at the edge of the sea, listening. The waves whisper one last time before fading into the distance. The air grows still, heavy, waiting, and then you feel it. A soft breath brushing your cheek. It is the wind at first. It moves gently, almost imperceptible, a sigh drawn from the horizon. Then it gathers strength, curling around you in invisible spirals. It lifts a few grains of sand, plays with your hair, fills your lungs. You close your eyes and inhale deeply. The air feels alive, cool, fragrant, vast. You can sense where it's been. Perhaps this same wind once brushed the tops of distant forests, crossed mountain ridges, danced through cities, glided over oceans. It carries the memory of everywhere it has passed. The earth is breathing. You exhale, and the planet exhales with you through its forests, its seas, its shifting layers of heat and cold. Every gust, every breeze, every storm is part of this great respiration, high above you. Unseen rivers of air flow continuously around the world. Jet streams move like invisible highways in the sky, connecting continents, steering clouds, guiding seasons. The atmosphere is not still, it's alive with motion. You open your eyes and look upward. The stars are faint now, veiled by thin streaks of cloud. The air glows softly, lit by the reflection of distant cities. You imagine it, billions of particles swirling, colliding, drifting, each one lighter than dust, yet together forming the sky itself. You stand, feeling the wind tug gently at your clothes. It's not random. You can sense a purpose, a pattern hidden in its movement, like a pulse. The air flows from warm to cool, from full to empty, balancing itself across the surface of the world. The same principle that shaped rivers shapes the wind. The eternal desire for balance. Warm air rises from the equator, where sunlight is strongest. It expands, grows lighter, and begins to drift toward the poles. Cooler air, heavier and denser, slides down to take its place. This endless exchange, rising, falling, shifting, creates the winds that circle the planet. It's a dance of temperatures, pressures, and invisible forces. The Earth's silent, continuous breath. You begin to walk inland. The sea grows quieter behind you, but the sound of air grows stronger. A whisper through grass, a rustle in leaves. Each sound is the wind finding a shape for itself. You pass dunes sculpted by air, their curves soft and flowing like frozen waves. The sand remembers every gust, every shift in direction. It's as if the wind paints landscapes, leaving behind its signature in form and texture as you walk. You begin to imagine the air itself as something tangible, not emptiness, but presence. It presses gently against your skin, supports the flight of birds, carries scent and sound. You lift your hand and feel it move between your fingers, unseen, but undeniably there. The air holds everything: oxygen for your blood, nitrogen for the soil, carbon dioxide for the trees. Every breath you take is a conversation with the planet. You breathe out what the trees need, and they breathe out what you need. In this exchange, there is harmony. You close your eyes again and feel the rhythm. Inhale, exhale. The trees sway as if breathing with you. The leaves shimmer and the branches bend. You realize that the forest, the ocean, the clouds, and even you, all are parts of one great respiration. The wind grows stronger. You feel it pushing at your back, urging you to move. The landscape begins to change. The sand gives way to grass, the grass to rock. You climb slowly, following the current of air up a gentle slope. At the top, the world opens wide. You can see far now, valleys below, distant forests, the faint glow of water in the moonless dark. The wind rushes past your face, cool and steady. You spread your arms, and it seems to lift you, weightless. In that moment, you understand. The atmosphere is not something above you, it's within you. You are immersed in it as completely as fish are immersed in the sea. You live, move, and think inside air. Without it, there would be silence. No sound, no scent, no song. The air carries life's music. Somewhere far below, you hear it, the soft whistle of wind between rocks, the deep hum of air through trees. It is the planet's voice, speaking in tones too vast to fully hear. You lie down on the cool grass and stare upward. The sky seems endless, yet it's only a thin film, a fragile veil between Earth and the void. If the planet were the size of an apple, its atmosphere would be thinner than the skin. And yet, this delicate layer protects everything. It keeps warmth and shields from cosmic radiation, holds the breath of all living things. It is the planet's lungs, its cloak, its song dot. You imagine how it formed billions of years ago, when volcanic gases first escaped from Earth's molten surface. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, water vapor. The sky was once heavy and toxic. Then life appeared, tiny, patient, persistent. Cyanobacteria began to release oxygen, slowly changing everything. The air you breathe now is a gift from those ancient lives, from countless generations of invisible beings who shaped the sky, molecule by molecule. You take another deep breath, and it feels like gratitude. The wind shifts direction, carrying a cool scent, faint and clean. You recognize it as ozone, the sharp fragrance of high altitudes. You imagine the upper atmosphere, layers upon layers, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, each one with its own role, its own quiet story. In the stratosphere floats the ozone layer, fragile yet fierce, absorbing the sun's harmful rays. Without it, the world would be unlivable. You think of it as a kind of invisible guardian, a shield made of sunlight and chemistry. The air you stand in now was shaped by millions of years of evolution, balanced by the breath of forests and oceans, refined by time itself. It is the perfect blend for life, not too dense, not too thin, not too hot or cold. You whisper softly into the wind. as if it could hear. Thank you for carrying us. And the wind answers, not in words, but in motion. A swirl of leaves dances past your feet. The air wraps around you in a slow spiral, gentle but firm, as if acknowledging your presence. For a moment, it feels like the planet itself is breathing with you, slow, deep, calm. You look up at the stars again. Some twinkle faintly through thin clouds. The constellations shift slowly as the night deepens. You think of how, even here, in the stillness, air is always in motion, rising, falling, circling the globe. It connects every place, every life. The air you breathe tonight may have brushed the Himalayas, drifted across the Sahara, flowed over Arctic ice. In every breath, you inhale the history of the world. You begin to walk again, feeling the wind move with you. It seems to know the way. It guides you through the night, over hills and valleys, until the land begins to change once more. The air grows cooler, thinner. The ground beneath your feet becomes rocky, sparse. You realize you're climbing higher, toward the mountains. The wind grows stronger here, unrestrained. It roars between peaks, howls through canyons, carves the stone itself. Yet even in its ferocity, there's beauty, a wild sculpting grace. Mountains are born of motion, and the air helps shape them. Over centuries, winds carry dust from deserts, moisture from seas, snow from clouds, carving valleys, smoothing ridges, creating new forms. You stop for a moment, looking up at the towering silhouette ahead. It seems to reach straight into the stars. The wind around it hums like a great instrument, the mountains singing its silent hymn to the sky. You take another breath, thinner now, cooler, and feel your heartbeat slow. The air has less oxygen here, but it feels purer somehow, stripped of all weight. It reminds you of thought, invisible, essential, fleeting. You realize that air is not only the planet's breath, it is also the breath of consciousness. Every inhale feeds your cells, but it also feeds your mind, a rhythm that mirrors your awareness. You close your eyes again, and for a moment, you sense your thoughts drifting like clouds. They appear, dissolve, reform. Some heavy, some light. They move across the sky of your awareness, the same way winds move across the earth. No thought stays. No breeze lasts. And yet, together, they form weather the climate of the mind. The wind softens once more, turning warm. The air hums with quiet energy. You know it's time to rest again. You lie down on a flat stone, the sky vast above you, the air moving softly round your face. The world breathes. You breathe with it. You can feel the transition approaching the next shift, subtle but inevitable. The air, after traveling far and wide, will soon meet the mountains in a new form. Moisture will gather, condense, and fall. Clouds will give birth to rain, and from that rain, new rivers will begin, whispering the same stories, starting the cycle anew. You close your eyes, letting the wind cradle you one last time. Its voice fades, replaced by another, a softer one, distant yet approaching. The first sound of falling rain dot. You smile, knowing where the next chapter begins. You awaken to the scent of wet stone. The air is cooler now, touched by moisture. You open your eyes and see a mist rolling down the mountain, not heavy, just enough to blur the edges of things. The world has softened overnight. The wind has grown quiet, as if holding its breath. Then, a sound breaks the stillness, a single drop landing on your cheek. You look up. The sky is pale, vast, layered with slow-moving clouds. They drift like living beings, great silent travelers carrying water across the sky. They seem gentle, but inside them lies the power to shape landscapes, to sustain or destroy. You sit still, watching. The first few drops fall, one by one, barely audible. Then more follow, steady and rhythmic. The ground darkens, the air thickens with scent, soil, leaves, stone. It is the smell of renewal. You close your eyes and listen. The rain has a pattern, not random, but musical. Each droplet joins the others in a quiet symphony. The earth responds in soft percussion, drips from leaves, ripples in puddles. The faint hiss of runoff finding its path. It feels as though the planet itself is playing an instrument, and you are listening to its most ancient song. This is how the sky gives back. For months, maybe years, the oceans have whispered their waters upward through waves and mist, through the breath of trees and the sweat of living things. Now, gravity calls it home. The clouds grow heavy and let go. Every drop that touches your skin has traveled through time, evaporated from distant seas, condensed into vapor, lifted by sunlight. It has seen more of the earth than you ever will. You let the rain fall freely, not moving. It feels like a gentle cleansing, as if the sky is washing away the dust of old stories. Somewhere nearby, a stream begins to stir. The rain gathers in tiny trickles, joining, converging, forming thin veins of water that begin their descent. You can hear it, the quiet awakening of rivers. The sound grows soft at first, then steady. The land begins to move again, reshaped by falling water. You walk toward the sound, your steps sinking slightly into the damp earth. The rain has deepened the colors, greens richer, rocks darker, the air luminous with mist. Everything feels closer, wrapped in softness as you move. You realize how many forms water takes: mist, rain, stream, river, ocean. It never rests, only transforms. It evaporates, condenses, falls, flows, and rises again. It is the planet's heartbeat, steady and eternal. You crouch near a stream that's forming between two rocks. It's no wider than your hand, but it carries the determination of mountains. Each droplet that joins, it adds to its journey, from high slopes to valleys, from valleys to seas. You dip your fingers into the flow. The water is cold, so cold it feels almost electric. Yet it carries warmth too, a memory of sunlight caught in vapor. You think about how perfectly balanced this cycle is. The sun's heat lifts water from oceans, lakes, and forests, a quiet, invisible rising. In the upper air, temperatures fall, and the vapor condenses into droplets, gathering in clouds. When they can hold no more, gravity takes over, returning the water to earth. Every part of this process depends on the others, a dance between fire, air, and water. You tilt your face toward the sky. The clouds above you are dark now, heavy and glowing from within. Lightning flickers far away, silent flashes behind the clouds. The world feels alive, trembling, waiting, and then it comes, not a drizzle now, but a downpour. The sound is immense, yet soothing, like 1,000 whispers layered upon one another. You find shelter beneath a large tree, its branches trembling under the weight of water for a while. You do nothing but listen. You think about how rain connects every living thing. It feeds rivers, nourishes forests, fills aquifers, and awakens seeds buried deep in soil. It turns deserts into meadows and returns to oceans as if completing a vow. Each droplet is both ancient and new. The water falling now might once have flowed through the gills of a prehistoric fish, frozen in glaciers, or drifted in clouds above lost continents. Nothing is ever wasted. Nothing truly disappears. The rain begins to ease, softening from torrent to patter. You step out again. The ground is slick but shining, covered with tiny reflections, each one a fragment of the sky. You walk toward a ridge where the stream has become a small waterfall. The sound is brighter now, full of motion. You watch the waterfall, smooth, unstoppable. A silver thread connecting sky and earth. Gravity guides it, but within it is the memory of flight. It was once vapor, high and light, part of the sky's invisible breath. Now it has returned to serve the earth again. You watch it fall for a long time. Each drop lands and continues, never staying still. Water teaches you something about surrender, how to move without resistance, how to become what is needed. You move with it, following the flow downhill. The rain stops entirely now, and a faint mist remains. The sun, hidden for hours, begins to show through a dim circle of light behind the haze. You feel warmth again. Steam rises from rocks, merging with the cool mist. You realize that even as water returns, it also begins to rise once more. The cycle never ends. Everything, clouds, rain, rivers are just temporary shapes of the same essence. You kneel beside a wide pool forming at the base of the stream. It's perfectly still, reflecting the faintest shimmer of light. For a moment, it looks like glass, pure, unbroken. You touch its surface gently. Ripples form, expanding outward in slow circles. They fade, and the water becomes smooth again. You think about how this same water once shaped countenance. Over millions of years, rain-carved valleys, cut through mountains, polished stones into sand. The very shape of the earth is drawn by flowing water, yet, for all its strength, it is also peace itself. Patient, soft, humble. You take a deep breath and realize how every element plays its role in harmony. Fire gives warmth, air carries breath, water returns life, and earth holds it all together. The mist begins to lift, revealing more of the valley below. Streams merge into rivers, winding like silver threads through the land. From this height, they look still, but you know they are moving endlessly, carving paths, carrying stories from cloud to ocean. You begin to follow the river's course downward. Each step takes you closer to the sound of flowing water, a low, constant hum like a heartbeat beneath the world as you descend. The air warms, the mist fades, and the scent of rain gives way to the sweetness of wet earth. The river beside you grows wider, stronger. You imagine the journey ahead for these waters, through plains, forests, cities, and finally back to the sea. Each drop that fell from the sky will one day meet its origin again, completing a cycle older than life itself. The sun breaks through at last, a soft light, golden and warm. It reflects off the water, scattering 1,000 tiny stars across the river's surface. You pause and look back at the mountain. Clouds are already forming again, gathering where warm air meets cool. You smile. The breath of the planet continues. Rise, fall, rise again. You walk until night begins to fall. The air turns cool, filled with the gentle sound of water flowing in the dark. The river glows faintly, reflecting the fading light. You sit by its edge, listening. The surface glimmers with slow ripples, each one catching the last of the sky's dim glow. You think of how every river eventually becomes one, how all paths lead back to the ocean, and you realize that water's journey is also your own. You rise, fall, change, form, and return, always moving, always learning to flow. Somewhere in the distance, thunder murmurs softly, fading into memory. You close your eyes and breathe with the rhythm of the river above you. The clouds begin to part. A few stars appear, faint and delicate, shimmering through thin mist. You feel the night deepening, calm, endless breathing. The rain is gone, but its story continues, beneath you, around you, within you. It flows through the soil, through roots, through veins, through time itself. You rest there, letting the sound of the river lull you toward sleep far below. It will one day reach the ocean, and in that vast, endless expanse, the next story will begin. The rain has passed, and the earth glistens. Mist drifts across the valley like forgotten breath. The river you followed has grown quiet again, moving in slow, thoughtful curves. The air smells of stone and newness. Everything feels freshly made, like the world has just exhaled. You walk barefoot now. The soil is damp and soft, and beneath it you sense something vast, not still, but living. The ground beneath you is not a stage. It's a slow-moving tide of stone, far away. Mountains rise in the distance, jagged silhouettes carved from the planet's long memory. Their peaks pierce through ribbons of cloud, as if they remember the sky they were born from. You begin to walk toward them slowly, as the morning sun glows pale on the horizon. Each step feels deeper now. The earth seems to hum, a frequency too low to hear, yet felt in the bones. You pause and kneel, placing your hand on the ground. It feels cool, steady, but if you could wait long enough, centuries, millennia, you would see it shift, fold, and breathe. You realize that the solid earth beneath you is not truly solid at all. It floats, like a puzzle made of immense plates, drifting upon molten rock. These are the tectonic plates, Earth's slow heartbeat. You picture them, vast slabs of crust, moving ever so slightly, no more than a few centimeters each year. But over ages, their motion remakes the face of the planet. Continents wander, oceans open and close, mountains rise and crumble. You begin to climb higher, following the curve of the land as it rises toward stone. The path narrows. The wind grows cool and sharp. As you climb, the world opens, valleys spread below, rivers winding like blue threads through green cloth. The earth's story stretches before you, not written in words, but in shape and texture. You reach a ledge and rest. The stone here is layered, thin sheets stacked upon one another, colored in bands of red, gold, and gray. Each layer was once soft sediment at the bottom of an ancient sea. You run your fingers along it, tracing millions of years with a single touch. You close your eyes and imagine the world as it once was, a planet without mountains, without continents, just ocean and sky. Beneath those waters, molten rock moved restlessly, seeking to cool, to harden, to break. And when it did, the first continents were born, fragments of crust rising from fire, forming land where none had been before. But even land could not rest. The molten mantle beneath pressed and pulled, and the newborn crust began to drift. Slow as thought, yet unstoppable. You open your eyes again. The world feels vast now, not in size, but in time. The mountains ahead of you are not just stone. They are motion made visible, frozen in upward reach. You continue walking, each step taking you higher into thinner air. The path grows steeper. Loose stones shift beneath your feet, whispering faintly as they fall away. The wind whistles low through cracks in the rock. You stop and look back. The valley you left behind stretches endlessly, rivers like veins, forests like lungs. It feels alive, connected, breathing with the same rhythm as the mountains. You think of how these mountains were made, of how continents collide like slow waves meeting. When two plates converge, neither wishes to yield. Their immense pressure folds the crust upward, crumpling it into peaks and ridges. Over millions of years, the Himalayas, the Andes, the Alps, all grew from this relentless meeting of forces. You imagine that motion now, continents pushing together at the speed your fingernails grow. It seems impossibly slow. Yet given time, it can lift entire landscapes into the sky. You rest your palm against a boulder. Its surface is rough and cool, covered in tiny crystals that catch the light. This rock was once molten, once part of the Earth's interior fire. Now it rests quietly, eroding grain by grain. Even mountains, the greatest of Earth's creations, are temporary. You think of the wind, the rain, the rivers, how they carve valleys, where down peaks carry stone to the sea. Everything the earth builds, it also reshapes. Creation and erosion are not enemies. They are partners in balance. You reach a plateau and stop to breathe. The world around you feels still, but deep beneath your feet, continents continue their dance. Some move toward each other, others drift apart. Where they separate, molten rock rises to create new crust along vast ridges hidden beneath the oceans. You picture the mid-Atlantic ridge, a long scar beneath the sea, where the Earth's crust is being born even now. There, magma rises like slow fire, cooling in black curls to form new sea floor. The ocean expands, but not forever. On the other side of the world, another plate is pulled beneath its neighbor, sinking back into the mantle, melting into its fiery birthplace. The cycle never ends. Creation and destruction, rising and falling, breathing in rock. You sit down at the edge of the plateau, feeling the mountains pulse beneath you. The air is thin and cold. Far below, clouds drift through valleys like rivers of white. You realize how patient the earth is. It speaks only in epochs. Every stone you see was once something else. Sand, ash, coral, magma, dust. And every mountain you admire will one day crumble into grains to begin again as sediment. The land is not still. It is slow motion made invisible. You close your eyes and imagine the continents as dancers, each step taking millions of years. They drift, separate, reunite, sometimes colliding in fiery embrace, sometimes drifting apart like old friends. There is something deeply human in this rhythm, in the way the earth creates, breaks, and rebuilds itself. You see your own life reflected in its patience. You open your eyes again. The sky is deepening into dusk. A golden haze covers the peaks. Shadows stretch long, and the horizon burns faintly with the last light of day. You stand, feeling the cool wind on your face. From here, you can see ridges upon ridges, stretching into forever. Each one a ripple in the crust, a frozen wave of ancient motion. You start to descend slowly, tracing the curve of the land back toward the river. As you go, you notice how the rocks change, sharp at first, then rounded by wind and time. Erosion softens everything eventually. Even the hardest stone learns to yield. You reach the valley floor again, and the air grows warmer. The river runs quietly beside you, carrying fine grains of mountain dust, fragments of what once towered above. You crouch and watch the silt drift downstream. It will travel far to lakes, to deltas, to seas where it will settle once more and harden, reborn as new rock. The cycle continues, endlessly patient. You look up at the mountain one last time. Its shape is familiar now, not just as scenery, but as a living memory of motion. You whisper softly into the wind, a thought not for words, but for understanding. Everything moves. Even what feels unmoving is only paused between breaths. The night rises gently. Stars begin to bloom, faint, then clear, scattered across the sky. Their light touches the mountain's peaks, turning stone into silver. You breathe deeply, feeling the earth beneath you, alive, steady, patient. The continents drift, the mountains rise, the valleys deepen, and somewhere, deep within, the molten heart of the planet continues to churn. You lie back on the cool ground, letting the stars fill your sight. The mountain looms above, ancient and calm, and as you drift toward sleep, you sense the earth's slow heartbeat beneath your spine, steady, enduring, infinite. You wonder where that rhythm leads next, perhaps to the depths of the ocean, where heat still breathes from the planet's molten core. You are standing at the edge of dawn. The first light touches the horizon, a soft grey-blue glow spilling slowly across the sleeping land. The air is still, as though the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for something ancient to stir. You look down at the ground beneath your feet and remember everything you've learned, the drifting plates, the hidden fires, the oceans rising and falling, the mountains that once slept beneath the sea. It feels impossible that this still, quiet land is in motion, but it is. Even now, continents drift, oceans shift, and the invisible engine below keeps turning. The earth is never truly still. Every second, deep beneath you, molten rock circulates, slow, steady, unstoppable. It is as if the planet breathes, each movement a quiet inhale and exhale of stone. You imagine this motion as a kind of dream, the dream of the planet itself. In this dream, the continents glide like silent rafts across an endless sea of magma. They meet and part, collide and drift, forming new shapes that no human will ever see. If you could fast forward millions of years, you would see the world change like a living puzzle. Oceans would close, mountains would rise, deserts would drown, and islands would stretch like wings toward one another. Nothing would stay as it is, and yet the rhythm would remain the same. You close your eyes and listen. Beneath the distant hum of wind and birds, you imagine a sound far deeper, the slow heartbeat of the earth. Somewhere below you, thousands of kilometers down, heat is rising from the planet's core. It moves through molten rock, through cracks and currents, through the deep mantle where no light has ever reached. That heat drives the plates above, shapes the continents, fuels volcanoes, and keeps the world alive. Without it, the planet would be silent, a frozen sphere adrift in space. But because of it, the Earth is a living world. You think about the future, not just of continents, but of time itself. What will this place look like in 100 million years? You try to see it in your mind. The Atlantic Ocean narrowing, Africa slowly colliding with Europe, closing the Mediterranean into a desert valley. Australia drifting north, brushing against Asia, New mountains rising where there are plains now. New oceans forming where cities once stood. It is both beautiful and humbling to realize that the map of the earth is not permanent, that every border, every coastline, every mountain we know is only temporary, a brief shape in a longer story. The continents are like clouds, solid for a moment, but always changing form. You kneel and touch the ground. The soil is cool, damp with morning dew. You press your palm into it, as if to feel the pulse of time. For a brief moment, you imagine feeling the motion, a slow, deep, endless drift beneath your hand. It reminds you of breath. You inhale, the earth expands. You exhale, it shifts again. You think of the ancient supercontinent, Pangaea, that once held all the lands together in a single body. Then it split, piece by piece, carried apart by invisible forces. Now, continents stand separate, but one day, far ahead, they may come together again. Scientists believe that in 200 million years, a new supercontinent will form, perhaps called Amasya, or Orica, or Pangaea, Proxima. The names sound like lullabies whispered to the future. You imagine it, a single vast land surrounded by one endless ocean. The world dreaming itself back into unity. It's comforting, somehow, to know that even in change, there is return. That every drift leads, someday, to reunion. The wind shifts, brushing gently through the grass around you. You feel small, and yet part of something immense. The same forces that move mountains also move you, not in stone, but in spirit. Your thoughts drift to the people who will walk this same earth long after you. They will not see the continents move, but they will stand where seas once were. They will build cities atop ancient mountain routes. They will hold stones that were once part of an ocean floor. They will inherit a planet still alive, still writing its own story. You smile softly. The earth does not rush. It never has. It moves at the pace of patience, the rhythm of eons. Perhaps that is why standing still feels peaceful, because it reminds you of how slowly things truly change. You imagine looking at the world from far above, from space, where continents seem still and oceans silent. From that distance, the earth looks eternal, unchanging. But you know the truth beneath that calm surface. Everything is in motion. You whisper to yourself, the world is always becoming. The phrase lingers in the morning air, dissolving into mist. You walk slowly now, following a narrow ridge that overlooks the valley below. The rocks at your feet are ancient, perhaps older than the mountains themselves. You pause to pick one up, feeling its weight. Within it lie minerals that crystallized when continents collided millions of years ago. You are holding a fragment of that collision, the memory of motion frozen in your hand. You look at it closely, tiny sparkles catching the early light. It is beautiful in its stillness, yet born of unimaginable force. It reminds you of how calm and change can coexist, how quiet surfaces can hide deep power. Maybe that's what Earth is teaching you. That movement doesn't always mean rushing forward. Sometimes it means allowing change to happen slowly. Beneath awareness, you think of your own life, the places you've been, the memories you've layered like sediment. You, too, are shifting, becoming your countenance, your thoughts. Emotions, dreams drift within you, colliding and parting, reshaping who you are. You breathe deeply, feeling that connection. You are not apart from the earth, you are made of it. Your bones carry calcium from ancient oceans. Your blood carries iron forged in stars. Your breath carries oxygen that once drifted through fern forests before the first humans walked. The planet moves, and you move with it. The story continues, through you, within you. Beneath you, the sky brightens, now pale gold, spreading across the horizon. Birdsong rises in the distance. The earth is waking, slowly, beneath the warmth of another day. You realize this is how every ending begins, quietly, naturally, like the next breath after sleep. You sit down on the hillside and close your eyes. For a moment, you feel the world turning beneath you, not in speed, but in presence. You think of all the chapters of this long story, the drifting plates, the rising mountains, the sleeping volcanoes, the fossils whispering from stone, and you understand the Earth's journey is not just its own. It is the story of change, of balance, of patience, and of how everything that moves eventually finds its place again. The morning sun reaches your face. You feel its warmth like a gentle heartbeat against your skin. You whisper to yourself, the countenance keep moving, and so do we. The words linger, soft as breath, fading into the hum of life around you. You open your eyes and watch the world shimmer in light, and in that quiet, final moment you sense it clearly. The future beneath your feet is already here. The earth is dreaming forward, carrying you with it. And the story continues. The air tonight is cool and still. You walk across an open plain, and the ground beneath you feels ancient, like it remembers everything that has ever happened here. The stars shimmer faintly above, reflected in tiny pools of water gathered in shallow rock. Each step echoes softly, as if time itself is listening. You reach a low cliff and place your hand against the rock. It feels cool, solid, unmoving. Yet, within it, the world's oldest stories are written. Not in ink, not in letters, but in layers. The cliff before you is a wall of color and texture, soft reds, muted browns, pale grays, thin lines pressed one atop another. Each layer is a page, each mark a whisper from an age long gone. You imagine turning these layers like pages of a sleeping book. The top layer, young and smooth, might tell of recent rains, of roots pressing downward, of footprints still soft in the earth. Beneath it, older layers sleep, ancient sands turn to stone, carrying the faint imprints of ferns and shells. And far below, deeper still, lie stories of fire, oceans, and life that has long since turned to dust. You sit down near the edge, your fingers brushing fine grains of sediment. The earth crumbles softly, slow motion, gentle collapse. You are holding time itself. Each grain once drifted through air or water, carried by wind or current, until it settled and rested. Over millions of years, layer after layer pressed down, compacting, transforming, becoming stone. What you see now is not just rock. It is memory, a slow recording of existence. You think of how the earth has no diary, no written history. Its story lives in silence, in pressure, texture, and trace. You lean closer, tracing faint outlines in the rock, spirals, curves, delicate imprints of once living things. These are fossils, echoes of lives that once breathed, moved, and dreamed under the same sky you see now. A small shell fossil catches your eye, perfectly preserved. You hold it gently in your hand. It feels fragile, yet eternal. Once, this shell belonged to a creature that lived in an ancient sea. Now it rests here, far from water, its shape sealed in stone for eons. You imagine that sea, shallow and warm, filled with slow-moving life. You see sunlight dancing through waves, touching soft corals and drifting plankton. You see the creature living, eating, moving, unaware that it would one day become part of the Earth's great memory. It died quietly. Its shell sank, buried under layers of sand. Over time, the sand hardened, preserving its form. Now, millions of years later, you sit holding it, connected across unimaginable distances of time. You realize fossils are not just remains. They are messages. They say, I lived. I was here. The world changed, and so did I. You breathe slowly, letting that thought settle in your chest. Every fossil is a sentence in the planet's autobiography. You begin to imagine time not as a line, but as depth, each layer below you representing an older chapter. Somewhere deep down lies the beginning of life itself. The first cells, soft and uncertain, clinging to warmth and chance. Above them, the slow rise of creatures that learned to move, to breathe, to see. Above that, forests spread, oceans withdrew, mountains rose and fell, and here you are on the newest page, still being written. You think of how geologists read these layers carefully, patiently, as though translating the language of stone. To them, every fold and color tells a story. A river's path, a long drought, a volcanic ashfall, a vanished shore. The rocks remember what the sky forgets. The night grows darker now. The stars above seem to echo the patterns in the stone, clusters, spirals, fragments of order in a vast unknown. It feels almost as if the universe and the earth share the same script, one written in stars, the other in stone. You stand and begin to walk along the cliffside. The path is uneven, scattered with fossils and fragments. In one section, you notice a fern impression, delicate veins pressed perfectly into shale. The plant itself is long gone, but its outline remains the memory of its shape. You run your fingers over it and realize that memory, too, is like this. We forget details, but the impressions remain. What's gone is not lost, just transformed. You imagine the earth as an ancient storyteller, patient, wordless, eternal. Every tremor, every ripple, every drop of rain adds another word to its quiet song. Sometimes the earth whispers its memories back to us. In the fossil of a fish where a desert now lies. In the bones of creatures found high in mountain stone. In the rings of old trees that remember every drought. Every storm, time you realize, is not linear. It breathes. You sit again, this time at the edge of a canyon. Far below, a river winds slowly through the rock, carving its way through layer upon layer. It glows faintly in the starlight, like a thread of silver weaving through the earth's history. Each turn of the river reveals a deeper story. Each echo down the canyon wall feels like a pulse from the past. You close your eyes and imagine listening to the slow erosion, to the whisper of rock turning back into dust. The sound is faint, but if you listen closely enough, you can almost hear time moving. You think about how humans, too, are layered memories, pressed upon memories, experiences turning into habits, emotions settling deep like sediment. We are walking landscapes of memory, shifting and eroding, constantly remade by time. You breathe deeply. The night feels endless, yet soft. The stars shimmer faintly through thin mist. The ground beneath you, the air around you, even your own heartbeat, all belong to the same rhythm of transformation. You wonder what traces we will leave behind, what fossils of thought or emotion might endure after we are gone. Maybe not in stone, but in story. Maybe not in rock, but in remembrance. You feel the cool earth under your palms. It vibrates faintly, alive. It has been here long before you, and it will remain long after. And yet, somehow, it carries you, its newest story still unfolding. You lie back, staring up at the sky. The stars, too, are fossils of light, ancient signals traveling across space and time to reach you now. You are surrounded by memory, from the ground beneath you to the light above. The wind moves softly through the grass. Somewhere nearby, a small piece of rock breaks loose, tumbling gently down the slope. Another tiny shift in an endless story. You breathe slowly. You feel the world turning quietly beneath the stars. You whisper to the earth, "Keep my story too when I am gone." And the stone beneath your hand seems to answer, not in words, but in stillness. A promise made not in sound, but in presence. The earth remembers everything, and tonight, for a little while, it remembers you. You close your eyes, the rhythm of your breath aligning with the deep pulse of the ground. The air feels timeless, the night heavy with silence and peace. And as your thoughts begin to drift, one quiet question rises from the depths of your mind. If the earth remembers everything, then what stories are written in the heat still rising from within it? You are standing at the edge of the sea. The waves move slowly tonight, not crashing, but breathing. Each one folds into the next, whispering stories of fire beneath water, of light born from darkness. You close your eyes and listen. Somewhere deep below, the planet still burns. The ocean may look calm, but its surface is only a thin skin stretched over heat. Beneath that stillness lies a restless world, a world of fire and stone, where molten rivers move like thoughts through the dark. You take a step closer to the shore. The sand beneath your feet is warm. You imagine following its story, every grain once part of a rock, melted and reborn, carried by tides, reshaped by flame and time. The sea pulls gently at your toes, as if inviting you deeper. And so, in your mind, you descend. You sink through the blue, past the last flickers of sunlight, into cooler, darker layers. Fish drift like silver dreams around you. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes, until there is nothing but your own slow heartbeat, echoing softly against the dark. Then, faintly you see it, a glow. Not sunlight, not moonlight, a pulse of red gold, moving like breath through the ocean floor. You are near a hydrothermal vent, a place where the earth's heat escapes into the sea. Boiling water rushes upward from cracks in the crust, carrying minerals and shimmering particles. The dark water around it shivers with energy. This is where fire meets the ocean, the planet's hidden breath. You hover near the vent, mesmerized by the beauty of it. It looks alive, glowing like the embers of a sleeping star. The water swirls with rich minerals, and life thrives here despite the heat. Tubeworms, crabs, tiny shrimp, all living in a world without sunlight. Nourished by the planet's inner warmth, you realize something profound. Even in the deepest dark, life finds a way. Even in the silence, there is creation. You drift closer. The vent hums softly, like a living throat exhaling steam. Beneath it lies the boundary where tectonic plates separate a mid-ocean ridge. Here, magma rises from the mantle to create new crust, pushing continents apart. You picture it as a wound that never fully heals, always opening, always creating, always glowing. Molten rock pushes upward, cools in the icy sea, and hardens into new ocean floor. This is how the earth renews itself from within. You think of how ancient sailors once believed volcanoes were the mouths of the underworld. Perhaps they were right in their own way. These are the places where the planet exhales, releasing what it cannot hold. You rise slowly, breaking through layers of cold and warmth. The surface glimmers faintly above a thin film of light. When you reach it, the air feels cool against your skin. The world is quiet again, but you can still feel the deep hum beneath the waves. You sit on a black volcanic shore now, the sand fine and soft like ash. Around you, steam rises in gentle wisps. The rocks glisten with moisture, newly cooled from fire. You reach down and pick up a piece of obsidian, smooth, dark, glassy. It feels like solidified lightning, frozen mid-breath. This stone was once molten, born from pressure and heat. Now it rests in your palm, calm and cold. You think about how the earth's fire creates both destruction and renewal. Volcanoes erupt violently, reshaping landscapes in moments. But once the smoke clears, the ground becomes fertile, rich with minerals, ready for life to return. Destruction, you realize, is never the end. It is transformation. You remember the way lava flows, slow at first, glowing like living blood, carving paths across land and sea. It moves without hurry, shaping everything it touches. And when it cools, it becomes something entirely new. The same fire that destroys forests also creates islands. The same molten rivers that swallow mountains give rise to new worlds. You lift your gaze toward the horizon. Far away, an island smokes, a single plume of white rising into the night sky. It glows faintly, a quiet beacon against the darkness. That island is young, still forming. Beneath it, magma rises through cracks, pushing upward until it meets the air. Every eruption adds a new layer to the story of the world. You think of how the Hawaiian Islands were born one by one, each a mark of the Earth's patient motion. As the tectonic plate drifts over a fixed mantle plume, volcano after volcano emerges, ages, and drifts away. Sinking slowly back beneath the sea, the islands are like footprints, a trail of fire across the ocean. You imagine walking along them, one by one, from oldest to newest. Each step takes you further back in time, deeper into the rhythm of creation. The night grows deeper now. Stars shimmer above, faint but endless. The air smells faintly of salt and smoke. You close your eyes and listen. Somewhere beneath your feet, the magma still stirs. You imagine it moving slow, alive, patient, the earth's blood flowing through stone veins. It gathers in chambers, builds pressure, and then releases a deep sigh of molten breath. The earth never sleeps. It only pauses between pulses. You think about your own breath, steady and slow. Inhale, exhale. You, too, are made of this rhythm, fire and air, warmth and stillness. You realize that what happens beneath the earth is not chaos, but balance. Each eruption, each tremor, each crack in the crust is part of a greater harmony, a way for the planet to stay alive. You lay back on the black sand, feeling its warmth seep into your skin. The stars shimmer faintly through thin mist. The ocean sighs nearby, its waves pulling at the shore like the slow tide of time itself. You think of how all life, every tree, every cell, every human heartbeat depends on this inner heat. Without it, the earth would be cold, still, silent. This fire is not destruction. It is the world's heartbeat. You imagine, for a moment, what the world would sound like if you could hear that heartbeat, the slow rumble of magma, the deep crack of rock, the soft hiss of vented steam. It would sound like a lullaby of stone. You close your eyes and listen to that imagined song. The ocean, the heat, the breath of the deep earth, all in rhythm. The air cools as night deepens. The horizon glows faintly with starlight, tracing the curve of the world. You feel small, but not insignificant. You are part of this endless exchange. Heat to light, stone to sand, fire to silence. You breathe slowly, letting the warmth fade, letting the cool night settle around you. The ground beneath you hums, a reminder that even in stillness, something ancient continues to move. You whisper softly, almost to yourself, the earth breathes, and I breathe with it. The sea answers in small ripples, the wind carries the scent of ash and salt, and somewhere far below, the fire continues to burn, unseen, unhurried, eternal. You fall quiet, your thoughts like embers drifting upward. The volcano sleeps for now, but its warmth remains, just as you drift now between waking and sleep, knowing that beneath the silence, something within you still glows, softly, patiently, forever.